just did a really fun Ask Agent like a week and a half ago, right? It was crazy. There's a lot of people and a lot of great questions. And if we missed anything, let us know. So we got a really good question that I think is kind of hard to answer in a tweet. So I figured we could bring it over to a video. And it was, how do you know when your relationship with your agent's not working?
Oh, that's a big one.
Right. Can't quite condense that into 280 characters.
No, and it's a scary one for authors
yes.
to even get to the point where they feel like they need to ask it.
Yes, and I thought that we can sort of explain that and also explain what to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've made it very well known that we at BookEnds strongly advocate for all authors.
Yes.
And believe that authors need to advocate for themselves. And that includes their author-agent relationship, which, although is ideally a partnership and an equal partnership, is difficult, I understand, for a lot of authors to see that way.
Yes, and I think also that there's the idea, well, it's hard to get an agent. It's not easy.
Right.
So there's the idea that I can't go back into querying.
Right.
I'll never get another agent, or even nobody will want to work with me because I just had to part ways with my agent. I'm like damaged goods.
Right. Not true. That is not true.
Right, but at some point you have to trust your gut.
You do. You really do, because it's a business relationship and it's based almost wholly on trust.
Yes.
And if you're getting to the point where you're asking yourself, is this still working for me? Then I would say that it may not be. It's hard for me to say without knowing details.
And every situation is different.
Should we clarify to Naomi that you're not ready to...
I'm not firing you. It really was a Twitter question.
Every situation is different, but I think the first step, if at all possible, is to have a conversation with your agent about what you think isn't working.
Yeah, I think that a lot of those feelings go away when you open up the floor and you put everything out there. Sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it.
Well, and especially before
we're not doing it.
It gets to the point where you're resenting.
Yeah.
So one of the very best conversations I had with a client was very much like this. She called me and she was very honest and said, I don't know if this relationship is working anymore. And she had a...
That's brave.
It was, and it was so appreciated. This is, I mean, this conversation will forever stay with me. And truthfully changed the way I work, not just with her, but with all my clients. So there were a number of things, but none of them were big. It wasn't like I wasn't stealing money from her, and she wasn't. I was actually selling her books.
And did you even realize that you were doing them?
I did not. Her concern was the way I communicated. And you've even mentioned that I communicate this way. I'm a little short and abrupt. And I would get an email.
Never. Just in typing.
Right.
For some reason.
Right. When I engage, I'm sort of having the conversation in my head, and so she would send an email and I would just respond, that sounds great.
Right.
And it came across to her as if she was bothering me and I was being dismissive, which wasn't at all my intent. And I have since worked very hard to change that in all of my email correspondence, but apparently not as well in Slack.
I'm never going to hear the end of this.
And I think it's hopefully made a difference with the way I engage with all my clients.
Right.
And we are still happily working together years later. And to the best of my knowledge, she's happy, and I know I am. And so I think that that's a lot of it sometimes. What the problem is, a lot of it can be fixed. It's just the not knowing.
Right.
If it's bigger than that, if the agent's not responding at all, even when you're trying to have the conversation, if you don't trust the agent anymore,
if you're just simply not a priority,
if you're not a priority, if you don't feel that you're a priority, if you don't feel you're a priority, that could be a conversation with the agent. That could be something that could be fixed potentially, because it doesn't mean that you aren't. It just means that somehow you've been led to feel that way. So I think the first step is having a conversation with the agent.
But of course,
it doesn't always work.
Yes.
Not everyone
jives.
Doesn't always work, and if it doesn't, then I think you really need to accept that. Are you better off back in the trenches than you are with an agent that you don't feel is the best business partner for you?
Yeah, and we've said it so many times. A bad agent is better than no. I mean, damn it. We've said it so many times. No agent is better than a bad agent.
It's true. And a bad agent for you may not be a bad agent for somebody else.
Right. And it could just be... So, let me rephrase.
Yeah.
No agent is better than a bad partnership.
Yes, I agree. And if it's not working for you, it's not working. And I think you can have a conversation. The other thing you can do is you could reach out to the agency. If you like being at the agency, you could see if there are other options within the agency, especially if it's something like you're switching genres. You know, here at BookEnds, I only work on adults, but we have an entire BookEnds junior team. If you were making a decision to switch genres, there's a very real possibility there might be somebody else at BookEnds, and it could just be transferring.
And you've done it before.
Yeah. Yes. And so I think the first step is conversation. The next step, if that didn't work for you and you still just don't feel right there, is just to admit that it's time to enter the query trenches. Nobody looks negatively on you for having previously had an agent. In fact, I tend to look at it positively.
It's experience, and you know what to expect. And
well, I also feel like somebody else liked your work enough to offer representation, so there's something of value there, so I'm more likely to be interested.
More inclined to go quicker, too.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question. It made for a great video. And for anyone in that situation, we hope...
Good luck. But
yes,
it's
good luck.
Definitely not the end of your career. Could very well just be the beginning of something new and fresh and wonderful.
Wow, Confucius and Dr. Seuss all in one day.